Elon Musk, the man who dreamed in rockets. In the age of silicon and satellites, few names evoke as much fascination or controversy as Elon Musk. To some, he is a modern Da Vinci, an engineer entrepreneur whose vision reaches the stars. To others, he's a volatile force, unpredictable, stubborn, and driven to extremes. Yet, wherever one stands, there is little denying that Musk has reshaped how the world thinks about cars, energy, space, and even the internet itself. In a world where billionaires often build empires of convenience, Musk built empires of possibility. His companies do not simply sell products, they rewrite what humans believe is achievable. From Tesla's electric revolution to SpaceX's reusable rockets, his ventures stretch across Earth and beyond. But the story of Elon Musk does not begin with wealth or rockets. It begins with a shy, bookish boy in apartheid-era South Africa, one who dreamed more about galaxies than playground games, and who learned early that imagination could be both an escape and a weapon.
Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, one of South Africa's 3 capital cities. His mother, Mae Musk, was a Canadian model and dietitian known for her poise, intelligence, and independence. His father, Errol Musk, was a South African electromechanical engineer, pilot, and sailor. The family's mixed background would shape Elon's worldview, part African resilience, part North American ambition. As a child, Elon was quiet, introverted, and almost obsessively curious. His mother would later recall how he could read for 10 hours straight, disappearing into the worlds of Isaac Asimov, Jules Verne, and Douglas Adams. If there was a book, Mae said, he would devour it. School life was less kind. Pretoria Boys High was tough, and Elon thin, awkward, and intellectually precocious became an easy target for bullies. Once, he was beaten so severely that he spent days recovering in the hospital. Yet this isolation also forged the resilience and self-reliance that would later define him. At age 10, Elon discovered computers. His father bought him a Commodore VIC-20, and within days, Elon had taught himself to program. At age 12, he sold his first piece of software, a space shooter game called Blastar, to a computer magazine for about $500. It was his first entrepreneurial spark, small but symbolic. But the young Musk was restless. He saw his homeland as a place of limited horizons, both politically and scientifically. Apartheid's moral weight troubled him deeply, and South Africa's military draft loomed large. He began plotting an escape not just from Pretoria, but from the gravity of the ordinary. By 1988, at 17, he made a decision that would alter his destiny, to leave South Africa and seek opportunity in North America, where innovation thrived. He used his Canadian heritage through his mother to secure a passport, packed his dreams, and flew across the world with barely a suitcase and a head full of ideas.
Elon's journey began humbly in Saskatchewan, Canada, where he lived with relatives and took odd jobs cutting wood, cleaning boilers to survive. His goal wasn't comfort, it was proximity to opportunity. In 1989, he enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario, partly to avoid South Africa's mandatory military service and partly to begin anew. It was at Queen's that he met Justine Wilson, a fellow student who would later become his first wife. Those years also strengthened his sense of purpose. Elon was fascinated not by money, but by meaning. He told friends he wanted to work on things that changed the world in energy, transportation, and space. In 1995, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States. There, he earned 2 bachelor's degrees, one in physics and one in economics from the Wharton School. He spent his nights in the library and his weekends throwing small house parties, charging admission to pay rent. But academia could only hold him for so long. Musk was drawn to Silicon Valley, where the internet was exploding. He applied for a PhD program at Stanford in applied physics and materials science, but famously dropped out after just 2 days. "The internet is the future," he said. "I can either watch it happen or be part of it." So began Elon Musk's first chapter as an entrepreneur, sleeping on office floors, living off cheap noodles, and coding through the night. When Elon Musk arrived in Silicon Valley in the mid-1990s, the internet was in its infancy. Few people understood its potential. Fewer still imagined it would reshape civilization. For Musk, it wasn't just a new technology, it was a revolution waiting to happen. He and his younger brother, Kimball Musk, decided to jump in. With about $28,000 borrowed from their father and a dream of mapping the digital frontier, they founded Zip2 in 1995. The idea was simple but visionary, a digital business directory and mapping service for newspapers, long before Google Maps or Yelp existed. Elon, only 24, worked around the clock. He lived in the office, showered at the YMCA, and coded for days without sleep. Visitors recall him curled under his desk with a sleeping bag, waking only to debug another line of code. His goal wasn't comfort, it was survival. At first, newspapers didn't understand why they needed a website at all, let alone an online city guide. But Musk's conviction was relentless. Gradually, contracts rolled in from the New York Times, Chicago Tribune, and others. By 1998, Zip2 had grown into one of Silicon Valley's hottest young startups. In 1999, the brothers sold Zip2 to Compaq for $307 million in cash and stock. Elon personally made $22 million from the deal, his first real fortune. But instead of settling down, he immediately reinvested nearly all of it into his next venture. That same year, he founded XCOM, an online banking and payment company, a radical idea in an era when most people still feared using credit cards on the internet. Musk envisioned a financial platform that would make money as frictionless as email. Investors were skeptical, but his energy was magnetic. Banking is just information, Musk said. You don't need bricks and mortar to move money. Within a year, X.com merged with a rival startup called Confinity, co-founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, which had developed a money transfer service called PayPal. The merger with stormy. Musk's bold style clashed with the other founders, but the product thrived. Under the new banner, PayPal revolutionized online payments. Musk, then CEO, pushed for aggressive growth and technical innovation, but his insistence on switching PayPal's servers to Microsoft from Unix triggered a board revolt while he was on vacation. By the time he landed, he'd been ousted as CEO. Still, when eBay acquired PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Musk's 11.7% stake earned him about $180 million after taxes. At only 31 years old, he was rich beyond imagination. Yet, true to form, Musk didn't spend it on mansions or yachts. Instead, he looked upward toward the stars. After PayPal, Elon Musk could have retired comfortably for life, but comfort never appealed to him. He often said his goal wasn't to be rich, it was to make humanity a multi-planetary species. In 2001, he founded the Life to Mars Foundation, a small group of engineers and space enthusiasts who discussed how to send plants or even humans to Mars. Musk proposed a daring concept called Mars Oasis, sending a miniature greenhouse to Mars to inspire public interest in space exploration. But when he approached NASA and US rocket companies, he was shocked at the astronomical launch costs. Even a small payload would cost tens of millions of dollars. This can't be right, he thought. We can build it cheaper. So in 2002, using $100 million of his own money, he founded Space Exploration Technologies Corp. SpaceX. The early years were chaos. Musk hired a team of young, idealistic engineers who worked 80100 hours a week out of a warehouse in El Segundo, California. They aimed to build a small, affordable rocket, the Falcon 1, that could carry payloads into orbit at a fraction of traditional costs. But rocket science is unforgiving. The first three Falcon 1 launches 2006, 2007, 2008, all failed, each destroying millions of dollars and years of effort. SpaceX came within days of bankruptcy. Musk poured his remaining personal fortune into keeping it alive, even as his marriage to Justine Wilson unraveled under the pressure. I thought we were going to die, he later recalled. All three companies, SpaceX, Tesla, and SolarCity, were on the brink. Then, on September 28, 2008, everything changed. The fourth Falcon 1 successfully reached orbit, the first privately built, liquid-fueled rocket to do so. Days later, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. In 1 week, Musk went from near bankruptcy to industry validation. He had proven that private spaceflight was possible and profitable. That same year, his other company, Tesla, was fighting its own existential battle.
Elon Musk didn't found Tesla, but he became its heart. The company was started in 2003 by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, engineers passionate about electric cars. Musk joined in 2004 as the lead investor, contributing $6.5 million in Series A funding and becoming chairman of the board. At the time, electric vehicles (EVs) were considered impractical toy cars for environmentalists. Musk saw something different, a revolution waiting to ignite. He wanted electric cars that were faster, sexier, and better than gasoline ones. Tesla's first car, the Roadster 2008, achieved exactly that. Built on a Lotus chassis with lithium-ion batteries, it could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds, proof that EVs could be thrilling. But behind the scenes, Tesla was hemorrhaging money. The 2008 financial crisis nearly killed the company. Musk stepped in as CEO, personally financing payroll and renegotiating supplier contracts. It was either that, he said, or Tesla would die. His persistence paid off. Over the next decade, Tesla released the Model S 2012, Model X 2015, and Model 3 2017, each one refining the vision of sustainable, high-performance electric transport. The Model S, in particular, stunned the industry, a luxury sedan with record-breaking range, safety, and acceleration. Under Musk's leadership, Tesla built gigafactories, massive battery plants in Nevada, Shanghai, Berlin, and Texas to scale production and reduce costs. By 2020, Tesla had become not just a carmaker, but a symbol of technological progress and environmental hope. Its stock price skyrocketed, and so did Musk's wealth. By late 2021, he briefly surpassed Jeff Bezos to become the richest person on Earth, a milestone driven by Tesla's market valuation and SpaceX's private funding rounds. But Musk's ambitions didn't stop at cars. He wanted to reshape transportation, energy, and the very fabric of human life. By the mid-2010s, Elon Musk was already leading 2 companies that had defied gravity: Tesla, which had revolutionized cars, and SpaceX, which had redefined spaceflight. But Musk's mind was never still. While most billionaires diversified into media, fashion, or philanthropy, Musk's curiosity veered toward the edges of science fiction, human-machine symbiosis, underground travel, and the colonization of Mars. The Boring Company solving traffic with tunnels. In 2016, Musk was sitting in Los Angeles traffic when he fired off a frustrated tweet: "Traffic is driving me nuts. I am going to build a tunnel boring machine and just start digging." Most people took it as a joke. A few months later, Musk registered the Boring Company, literally turning his tweet into a business. The company's mission: to reduce urban congestion by building a network of underground tunnels for cars and high-speed transport pods. Musk envisioned a future where vehicles would be lowered into tunnels via elevators and whisked away on autonomous sleds at over 120 mph. In 2018, the Boring Company built its first test tunnel under SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Later projects were announced in Las Vegas, Miami, and Austin, though not all came to fruition. Despite skepticism from urban planners, the Boring Company captured the public's imagination. It embodied Musk's style perfectly, a blend of audacity, humor, and engineering genius, wrapped in a name that mocked its own seriousness. And in true Musk fashion, he financed the company partly by selling flamethrowers and hats to fans online, because why not? Neuralink wiring the human brain. If the Boring Company was born from frustration, Neuralink was born from fear. Musk had long warned of the existential risks of artificial intelligence. In 2015, he co-founded OpenAI to promote safe and ethical AI research. But he also believed that ultimately, the best way to coexist with AI was to merge with it. In 2016, he founded Neuralink, a neurotechnology company aimed at developing brain-computer interfaces (BCIs). The goal: enable direct communication between the human brain and machines, treating neurological conditions like paralysis, and eventually enhancing cognition. Vision was straight out of cyberpunk fiction: microscopic threads implanted into the brain to record and stimulate neural activity. In 2020, Neuralink revealed a working prototype demonstrated on a pig named Gertrude, whose brain activity was displayed live on screen. Critics called it dangerous and dystopian. Supporters hailed it as revolutionary. Musk framed it as humanity's next evolutionary step. We already are cyborgs, he said. Your phone and computer are extensions of yourself. Neuralink just makes the bandwidth faster. Neuralink's promise extended far beyond medicine. It hinted at digital telepathy, memory storage, and even AI-assisted thought. Whether those dreams would come true or not, Musk had once again placed himself at the frontier of human imagination.
Starlink, internet from space. Meanwhile, Musk's most ambitious space project quietly took shape under SpaceX, the Starlink satellite constellation. Launched in 2019, Starlink aimed to provide global high-speed internet using thousands of small satellites orbiting Earth. By 2025, Starlink had launched over 6,000 satellites, offering service in more than 70 countries and generating billions in annual revenue. The project had a humanitarian side, bringing connectivity to remote and war-torn regions, but also a strategic one, securing SpaceX's long-term financial independence. When the Russia-Ukraine conflict erupted in 2022, Starlink terminals provided critical communications for Ukrainian forces. Overnight, Musk's private network became a geopolitical actor, praised by some, criticized by others. Through Starlink, Musk demonstrated something extraordinary. A private company now had influence rivaling that of nations. The vision of Mars, despite juggling cars, rockets, tunnels, and brain chips, one dream anchored everything: Mars. Musk spoke of the Red Planet not as a fantasy, but as a backup plan for civilization. He often said, "Greater than. Either we stay on Earth forever and eventually face extinction, or we become a multiplanetary species." Under his leadership, SpaceX developed the Starship, a fully reusable stainless steel spacecraft designed to carry 100 people to Mars. The project was bold, expensive, and years behind schedule, but it embodied Musk's philosophy: if something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are against you. By 2020, SpaceX had already made history multiple times, launching astronauts to the International Space Station, reusing rockets, and landing boosters vertically like science fiction come alive. Every success strengthened Musk's conviction that humanity's destiny was among the stars. If Musk's ventures in cars, space, and energy represented innovation, his takeover of Twitter represented controversy. In April 2022, Musk stunned the world by announcing his intent to buy Twitter for $44 billion. He claimed the platform had strayed from its mission of free speech and transparency. Critics saw it as a billionaire's ego trip. Supporters hailed it as a crusade for open dialogue. The acquisition was chaotic. Musk fired much of Twitter's workforce, reinstated previously banned accounts, and made sweeping policy changes. Advertisers fled, engineers quit, and public opinion split sharply. In 2023, he rebranded the platform as X, envisioning it as an everything app, a fusion of social media, payments, shopping, and AI. The future of civilization depends on free exchange of ideas, he declared, even as the app's moderation policies sparked global debate. Despite turmoil, Musk's X remained influential, reshaping public discourse and social media economics. Meanwhile, his other companies continued thriving. Tesla's new models dominated the EV market. SpaceX's Starship began test flights. Starlink reached profitability. By 2025, Musk's net worth had soared past $480 billion, making him, once again, the richest person on Earth. But for Musk, wealth was never the point. Money, he often said, is just a tool to build the future.
By 2021, Elon Musk had transcended the realm of business. He was no longer just an entrepreneur. He was an institution, a myth, and a mirror of the 21st century's contradictions. He embodied the spirit of innovation that defined the digital age, yet also the chaos that came with it. When Bloomberg and Forbes declared Musk the richest person in the world, his net worth hovered between $250 billion and $300 billion, fluctuating with Tesla's volatile stock. He responded on Twitter with characteristic nonchalance. How strange, he wrote. Well, back to work. That attitude summarized Musk perfectly. Wealth was a side effect of purpose, not the goal. Still, his fortune granted him immense power, influence, and scrutiny unlike anything the modern age had seen. The pressure of scale. With wealth came pressure. Musk was simultaneously running 5 major companies: Tesla electric vehicles, energy storage, SpaceX rockets, satellites, Neuralink neural implants, the Boring Company, Infrastructure X, formerly Twitter Media, and I. Each was complex, global, and mission-critical. Employees described Musk as a force of nature capable of reading technical blueprints one moment and tweeting memes the next. He worked 100-hour weeks, alternating between Tesla's Gigafactory in Texas, SpaceX's Starbase in Boca Chica, and meetings held on his private jet. Sleep, as always, was negotiable. He once joked, "I've slept on the factory floor so many times that I can tell the hardness of each concrete spot." But that intensity came at a cost. Critics said he micromanaged to the point of exhaustion. Supporters called it passion personified. Either way, Musk had become both the driving engine and the bottleneck of his own empire. Public image, visionary or villain. As Musk's fame grew, so did his controversies. He was adored by millions, the self-made genius who inspired a new generation to believe in science, engineering, and ambition. Yet others saw him as reckless, unpredictable, and sometimes cruel. His social media behavior often blurred the line between authenticity and chaos. A single tweet could send markets surging or crashing. In 2018, he tweeted that he was taking Tesla private at $4.20 per share, triggering an SEC investigation and a settlement costing him $20 million. Yet these moments only added to his legend. Musk's online persona, equal parts engineer, troll, philosopher, and provocateur, became inseparable from his businesses. He was a celebrity CEO, but one who'd rather talk about rocket trajectories than red carpets. He debated climate policy with world leaders, cracked jokes with meme accounts, and argued with journalists in the same breath. Love him or hate him, the world couldn't look away. The Tesla transformation. Adrian the noise, Tesla kept changing the world. By 2023, Tesla had surpassed a $1 trillion valuation, a milestone that seemed absurd a decade earlier. The company produced millions of cars annually, dominated the global EV market, and continued to innovate in battery storage, solar energy, and autonomous driving. Musk's dream of sustainable energy was no longer theory, it was reality. Entire industries had shifted because of Tesla's success. Automakers, once dismissive of EVs, now scrambled to catch up. Tesla's Gigafactories became symbols of Musk's philosophy: if you want to change the world, build it. But even as Tesla soared, Musk's wealth became a lightning rod. Critics accused him of hoarding power, evading taxes, or manipulating markets. Musk countered by reminding people that most of his wealth was tied to his companies. He rarely sold stock, and his ventures aimed to improve humanity's future. "I don't have yachts or golden statues," he said in an interview. "I have factories and rockets. That's my wealth." The SpaceX revolution. While Tesla redefined Earth's mobility, SpaceX continued pushing humanity toward the stars. By 2024, SpaceX was launching Starship prototypes regularly, massive, fully reusable rockets capable of interplanetary travel. Starship was central to Musk's Mars colonization plan, but also served practical uses: satellite launches, lunar missions, and NASA contracts. Each successful launch lowered costs and expanded possibilities. In 2020, SpaceX had already made history by sending NASA astronauts to the International Space Station aboard the Crew Dragon, marking the first private company to do so. By 2025, SpaceX had flown dozens of crewed and cargo missions safely. Through SpaceX and Starlink, Musk controlled infrastructure that reached beyond nations, a private network spanning Earth and space. Governments now consulted him, not as a businessman, but as a geopolitical actor. He had, in a sense, become a citizen of the cosmos, one whose reach extended into orbit. Philosophy and vision. Despite his wealth and notoriety, Musk often described himself not as a businessman, but as an engineer and optimist. His driving philosophy could be summed up in one sentence: the future can be better, but only if we make it so. This belief powered everything he built. Whether it was Tesla's mission to end fossil fuel dependence or SpaceX's quest for a multiplanetary civilization, Musk saw his work as part of a moral imperative to ensure humanity's survival. He spoke of the long view 1,000 years ahead, when humans might walk under alien suns. He said he wanted to die on Mars, but not on impact. Such statements blurred the line between idealism and obsession, but they inspired millions. For every critic who called him reckless, there were countless young engineers, scientists, and dreamers who saw Musk as proof that ambition still mattered in a cynical world.
The paradox of Elon Musk. By the middle of the 2020s, Musk's paradox was complete. He was the richest man on Earth, yet claimed to sleep on factory floors. He was a capitalist, yet pursued goals that defied profit logic. He was a hero to some and a cautionary tale to others. But above all, he was a builder, and in that, perhaps, lay the truth of his genius. Where others saw limits, Musk saw launch pads. Where others feared failure, he saw experiments. And where others dreamed small, he built big. In the words of one SpaceX engineer, greater than working with Elon is like staring at the sun. You can only do it for so long, but you'll never forget the light. By 2025, Elon Musk was no longer just a man, he was a movement. His fingerprints were everywhere, on the roads, in orbit, and even in the minds of a new generation of dreamers. Whether one admired or despised him, it was impossible to ignore him. He had become, in the words of The Economist, the closest thing we have to a real-life Tony Stark, minus the suit but with more rockets. A legacy written in fire and steel. Few lives in modern history have intertwined so completely with the story of technological progress. When historians trace the curve of the early 21st century, the rise of electric vehicles, reusable rockets, artificial intelligence, and brain-machine interfaces, they will inevitably cross paths with Musk's name. His companies didn't merely compete within industries, they reshaped them entirely. Tesla made electric cars mainstream and accelerated the global shift to renewable energy. SpaceX broke the monopoly of government agencies and made private space flight not only viable but vital. Starlink extended the internet beyond cities and continents, connecting schools, disaster zones, and battlefields. Neuralink dared to probe the boundary between mind and machine. The Boring Company reimagined urban infrastructure, one tunnel at a time, and X, his rebranded Twitter, redefined how billions of people communicate, argue, and think in real time. In every domain he entered, Musk refused to accept impossible. When critics laughed, he smiled. When investors fled, he doubled down. When failure loomed, he slept on the factory floor and kept building. His legacy, above all, is one of relentless audacity. The belief that progress is not a gift of history but the product of human stubbornness. The philosophy behind the empire. To understand Musk's legacy, one must understand his worldview. He is, in essence, a technological existentialist, a man convinced that humanity stands at a crossroads between self-destruction and cosmic destiny. From his earliest interviews, Musk's words carried a consistent theme: greater than we have to make life multiplanetary. We have to preserve consciousness, the light of intelligence, before it goes out. To Musk, technology isn't merely a business, it's a survival strategy. Whether through electric vehicles that reduce carbon emissions, rockets that ensure our species can outlive planetary disaster, or neural interfaces that protect humans in an age of AI, his goals orbit around a single axis: long-term survival. He once said, half-jokingly, "Greater than I'd like to die thinking humanity has a future." That, more than wealth or fame, is the compass that has guided him through every storm. The controversies that shaped him. But legacy is never one-dimensional. Musk's journey has been shadowed by criticism and contradiction. His leadership style, famously demanding, often abrasive, has drawn both admiration and condemnation. Former employees describe him as the hardest boss and the greatest teacher. Some saw him as a visionary liberator, others as an uncompromising autocrat. His social media presence, too, has courted controversy. Tweets that mixed humor, defiance, and political commentary often sparked market chaos. At times, he seemed addicted to provocation, unfiltered, unapologetic, and wildly human. Environmentalists accused him of hypocrisy for owning private jets while preaching sustainability. Labor activists clashed with Tesla over worker conditions. Regulators often found themselves chasing his innovations, scrambling to keep laws ahead of technology. Yet for all his flaws, and they are many, Musk remained consistent in one regard: he never hid behind perfection. He failed publicly, learned quickly, and refused to stop. In that sense, his life mirrors his rockets. They explode, then fly again, stronger each time, inspiring the next generation. If Musk's companies are his monuments, his true legacy may lie in the minds he awakened. Before Tesla, few young people dreamed of becoming battery engineers. Before SpaceX, rockets were the domain of nations, not individuals. Before Neuralink, neuroscience was a niche academic field, not a frontier of imagination. Today, thousands of startups around the world echo Musk's ambitions: clean energy, affordable space travel, AI safety, and sustainable living. Millions of students cite him as their reason for studying engineering or physics. He has made the pursuit of the impossible fashionable again. To believe in Musk is, in a sense, to believe in human potential itself. Messy, defiant, and infinite. The human behind the myth. For all his mythic stature, Musk remains intensely private about certain aspects of his life. He has been married multiple times, fathered several children, and endured personal tragedy, including the death of his first son, Nevada, to sudden infant death syndrome. That loss, he once admitted, burned a hole in my heart that never quite healed. He maintains complex relationships with family and partners, often living as if time itself were his most precious currency. Friends describe him as awkwardly charming, disarmingly honest, and restless even in victory. He finds solace not in parties, but in building, whether rockets, robots, or ideas. His humor is dry, his patience thin, and his optimism enormous. When asked what drove him, he once said simply, "I just want the future to be more interesting than the past, the future he's building." By 2025, Elon Musk's ambitions have stretched beyond even his early dreams. SpaceX is testing Starship for interplanetary missions. Tesla's autopilot nears full autonomy. Neuralink prepares for human trials. X integrates AI-powered tools that merge social conversation with creativity. His next goal: a self-sustaining city on Mars by the mid-2030s, complete with power systems, agriculture, and governance. It sounds impossible. But then again, so did everything else he's achieved. In interviews, Musk often returns to one haunting idea: greater than. One day, the sun will expand and make Earth uninhabitable. If we don't move beyond this planet, we'll die with it? That's not fate. It's physics. His legacy, then, may not be the cars we drive or the satellites we use, but the mindset he leaves behind, one that insists humanity's story is only beginning. Epilogue: the dream that never sleeps. In a world obsessed with comfort, Elon Musk chose challenge. In an age of cynicism, he chose belief. He is proof that the boundary between madness and genius is often measured only by results. He was a boy who read science fiction in Pretoria, a young man who sold code for $500, a dropout who defied industries, and a dreamer who built rockets to Mars. Love him or loathe him, Elon Musk's story is not about wealth, it is about willpower. He once said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are against you." And perhaps that is his truest gift to the world, the reminder that every great future begins as a ridiculous dream, whispered by someone brave enough to chase it. The end of Elon Musk become the richest man of the world.
Thank you for watching.